Yes, this label is going to put a mass marketing behind you. They're going to make you the biggest artist in the world, but you are not going to own your music. You are not going to own the words that you write, the stories that you build, the lore that you put into your songs, the sounds and the ideas and all the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into creating these works. Yes, I have a new camera, so be patient with me. I'm still learning all the lighting and everything, so my settings are not perfect. The video should be even clearer as now they'll be in 4K, which I think will help us get to 100,000 subscribers and also honestly just be really good for City of Sound and my vlogs and some of the story times I do about our band adventures and everything. So I think it's a really smart investment and I'm excited to get it all figured out. We are playing Indianapolis on July 25th for our homecoming show. For those who know, City of Sound, we are moving the whole band to Indiana, and that's where we will be stationed HQ while we're recording and playing a bunch of local shows before we go on tours. I will put the link pinned in the comments, and we're very excited to welcome our new guitarist, John Reeves, for his first show with us. That will be the indie show. If you're in the area and want to come see an independent cinematic rock band as we build towards our new era that we're calling Destination Arrival, I know many of you know that as our GoFundMe that so many of you encouraged us to do is already almost full, which is just incredible to see. Come see us live. Also, our music links will be pinned in the comments too. So if you've never actually listened to my band City of Sound, definitely go listen to us. Taylor Swift is now the most powerful artist in the history of music. Now, I know a lot of people are going to immediately respond with who their favorite artist is that they think is more popular. Pause. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying objectively from a songwriter, producer, someone who runs an independent band's perspective, there has never been an artist who owns all their masters at her level and at the power that she has. And this is incredibly encouraging for anyone who is an independent band. That's what I want to dive into today. So we're going to cover a little bit of the history, but go into why this is a monumental moment for any artist like us who are trying to break through, who are holding on to their masters, who will not sell them to a label. And it really shows that in an industry where major labels have been playing the game and using and abusing artists for years, there is now one artist who has played the game back, and I love her for it. Let's just do a real quick recap because I know almost everyone watching this knows this story. Let's just go through it. I'll spend like 30 seconds, but then I want to get into why this is so important for artists like City of Sound and many younger artists trying to dance around all these label deal offers, which we get all the time. And it's very difficult because they make it difficult to break through without them. Just want to talk about why this is a big deal. A few years ago, Scott Borchetta and the Big Machine label sold their whole catalog to Scooter Braun and a lot of members of a private equity firm. Now, to understand that, I will make it quick. When you sign with a major label for a certain amount of years, they own your masters. It is very rare for an artist to own their own masters. The artist might have writing and publishing rights on their songs, but if you do not own your masters, then you do not have control over where it goes, what it's on, but also you are not making nearly the amount of money that the label is for your creation. This is a part of the game, and this is what labels have been doing for years. So Big Machine's whole catalog went to Scooter Braun and this private equity firm. Within that catalog was all of Taylor Swift's masters. Now, where the drama really started was Taylor Swift has had issues with Scooter Braun in the past, of which she had voiced to Scott Borchetta many times, and they have had long conversations about the manipulative practices and you could say just kind of mean bully tactics from my opinion and my perspective. So when this sale happened, she basically saw her songs being bought up by somebody that she had already voiced to her team, these people she trusted, this label that she had been signed to for years. They still went through and sold them to someone that she very much distrusted and saw as a bully, just to be clear. Now, diving into the lore, this led Taylor Swift to sign with Republic Records, and she began recording her own versions of her songs, which, under copyright law, there is a version if you pay a certain licensing fee, you can re-record your songs under your own production and writing, and then having your own masters. Hence the whole Taylor's version of her song she started to put out. So there's a little bit of a backstory. But then all of a sudden, about a week ago, Taylor Swift posted on her Instagram that she was now the sole owner of her masters and that she had bought back her first 6 albums from Shamrock Capital. Now, Shamrock Capital had bought her masters from Scooter Braun and that private equity firm, and they now own them. So once they had bought her masters, she began talks to get her masters back, and they would agree on a price. Now, first, I want to give a shout out to Shamrock Capital. Obviously, these masters and rights cost a ton of money. So she definitely had to put out at least 9 figures to buy these masters back. But with the outlook of how much they could have made off of them in the future, I think it does say something that she even thanked Shamrock Capital for how just well they negotiated and worked with her and wanted to make sure everything was fair. That's very rare in the music industry. So I just want to show maybe some appreciation to that, because those kinds of talks do not happen a lot. Now, where this was interesting, though, once Taylor Swift started recording her own versions of her songs, it started hurting her original masters that had been sold, because even her gigantic fan base, which if y'all know Swifties, they are wild. I mean, they're awesome, but they're intense. They would solely stream her songs, giving her versions attention, making sure that they were not streaming anything that had to do with her original masters, which hurt their value in general, their licensing, their placement capability across TV, film, everything. So I would say a lot of the credit also goes to her fan base, because at the end of the day, over the last 6 years, they are actually the ones that made this possible. And credit where it's due, Shamrock Capital recognized that the value of those masters were going down because of the contention, and they were open to selling the masters back to the artist who created them in the first place. Now, some of you might be saying right now, okay, that's great. That just means that a rich artist is now going to get richer. Ooh, they bought back their masters. Like, why does that matter? This is a huge deal. Now, this is going to be me more speaking from my chest. I understand I have a little bit of a skewed perspective of the music industry, just because, we have been independent successfully for 8 years, but we have run into every roadblock that you can imagine that the music industry could put in front of an independent band to keep us from succeeding, keep us from making connections and even deals, even song placements on TV and film, where we have had labels get involved and encouraged certain people to not take our songs, as to make us more and more desperate to sign with a major label. So I just want everyone to know I'm super biased. It's also from a ton of experience, and I see it as this is the truth. An artist of her magnitude to own her own masters is unheard of. I don't think many people realize that. The vast majority of artists who are gigantic and huge, they do not own their masters, because that's part of the deal. That's part of the double-edged sword. Yes, this label is going to put a mass marketing behind you. They're going to make you the biggest artist in the world, but you are not going to own your music. You are not going to own the words that you write, the stories that you build, the lore that you put into your songs, the sounds and the ideas and all the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into creating these works that go to millions of people. You're never going to own them, and you're never going to be able to choose where you actually put them, what TV shows, what places play them. None of that is ever going to be up to you. You have no control over where your music goes. So for an artist like Taylor Swift, who, is now a billionaire, every time she has a concert, she basically brings in her own economy into a city. If you've never looked into that, it's incredible what her concerts do for cities and the amount of cash flow and money that it brings into those towns. Having an artist like that with the fan base that she has, who is so incredibly supportive. And I also want to bring something up here too. When you have an artist that takes as much involvement in her songwriting as she does, because many of the biggest artists that you may listen to, I've been in some of those rooms and they're not even there. They have no part in their songwriting, in the production, in what songs are. They simply pick them from a catalog, and that's what it is. To have the most powerful and big artist in the world to own her masters, that means every music video, every copyright, every lyric, That means she can now decide where it goes, who gets them, sets the price. She can divvy up those percentages in the way that she wants to people who have worked with her. And let's be real, if you don't know, Taylor Swift has quite the reputation of treating her people very, very well. And her owning her masters is only going to be better for songwriters, producers, anyone that she has worked with, which takes the power away from these major labels and show these major artists that it can be done. I just really wish people would understand how pivotal of a moment this is for the music industry in general, for an artist literally buying back their power and their control to a struggling independent band. What it tells me is keep going. This is the kind of thing you see and you realize it is worth it to maintain your masters. It is worth it to maintain creative control. And even though, when she was young, she signed with a major label, and that major label was very much responsible for marketing campaigns and her blowing up on the scene. She has already done an incredible amount fighting for songwriters and songwriters' rights and publishing. To see someone build up their success, fight against the industry, recording their own versions of their songs, all to turn around and buy back their masters and the rights to their music. It is very encouraging. And it tells you that, one, it can be done, but two, it is worth it to go through the struggle and the fight, the grind and stress and fear that it takes to maintain your creative control and also maintain where your music goes and who owns it. This is a moment we've actually never seen before. The most powerful artist in the world owning their whole catalog in one name, Taylor Swift.
Trace of a heartbeat, bring back the futures we lost, tear down the anthem still rising. I know it's not too late for us. Out of sight, time and reason, I hope to be better. Are we meant to cross the dying lines and walk to promise together?